go. Yeah. He's getting it. And there's the start note. Today's show is supported by El Carafe Shrine in Clio, Michigan, and they're sponsoring a sportsman's raffle, which is held on April 23rd, 2022. Address is 4240 West Wilson Road, Clio, Michigan, 48420. It starts at noon. Ticket costs are $20 in advance, $25 at the door. One ticket gets you a shot at 100 different weapons. If you're interested in getting a ticket, please call 810-686-2641, or you can buy online at eksportsman.com. That is eksportsman.com. One ticket gets you a shot at over 100 weapons, and if you buy a booklet for $60, you get an extra ticket for a special drawing of 12 weapons or cash prizes. Please check them out online, eksportsman.com, or you can call 810-686-2641. Now back to the show. All right, welcome to the Warriors Week, our Warriors Way. Our warrior this week is Ben. Say hi, Ben.
Hello.
All right, we're going to get to him to a second. If you haven't gone and checked out our website at spiritualwarfareunit.com, if you know anyone that's struggling, needs help with food or clothes or baby formula or something, and they need it for free, go to spiritualwarfareunit.com, click on struggling. On there, some of our Warriors partners will be on there. You give them a call. They can help you or your family out for free, and you'll be the one that helped your family out and be the one that can help them future situations. Now, Ben is from drugfreeallstars.org, so if you want to check that out while we're talking to him, that is www.drugfreeallstars.org, and his phone number hotline for Flint area is 810-250-7657, or he's got a hotline in Detroit, 248-907-3833. If you missed any of that, we'll put it on at the end of the show. All right, Ben, what does everybody call you, sir?
They call me Asian Ben.
Asian Ben. Why Asian Ben?
Well, you know, early in recovery, I kept getting calls, and there was like 7, maybe 9 Bens in our area. You know,
wow, a lot of Bens.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Is this Big Ben, Black Ben, Smiley Ben?" And well,
there's no straight Ben. Is no straights, just Bens.
No, yep, just Bens. Yeah. So no, so I was like, well, I'm Vietnamese, so I'm Asian Ben.
So you're Asian Ben. So that's Ben. Your preferred.
That's what my road name is. That's what everybody in the recovery community knows me as, is Asian Ben.
All right. So in the community world, so before we get into that, let's back up a little bit. So where are you from originally?
Flint.
All right, you born in Flint, raised in Flint?
No, I was born in Vietnam. I was part of that Operation Baby Lift back in 1975 at the end of the Vietnam War when they were evacuating.
Hold on now. That sounds like a story. I don't think people know this. Like you say that like people don't, like people know, but what is that?
So at the end of the Vietnam War, they were evacuating the women and children to get them out from the North Vietnamese. Mm-hmm. And so from all these little villages, they were taking them to Saigon and flying them to all over the world.
Wow.
And I think like 750-ish come over to the United States, and the rest went to Russia, all these other different countries.
Okay, and you were one.
I was one of those.
And correct. What was that called again? Operation Baby Lift?
Operation Baby Lift at the end of the Vietnam War.
Yeah, man. Like you say that, like we should know. I didn't know that. So that's a cool start. So you came from there to Flint, Michigan.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
then what happened?
So then I flew over to, I think it was Oregon, and went to a whole adoption agency. So I was malnourished, and so they quarantined all the kids that come over from Vietnam.
Yeah.
A certain amount of time, and mine was an extended stay because I was so malnourished, and they didn't even think that I would make it.
How old were you when?
I was about 14 months old, somewhere right around there.
And you were malnourished at 14? Wow.
Yes. Yep,
14 months. Wow. Okay. So then you're in Oregon. How long did you stay there?
It was about 90 days-ish. I'm not sure on the exact.
Yeah. Well, At 14 months, I don't think
Yeah.
your memory's quite
No.
what it. All right. So, and then after that, how did you get to Michigan? Like, how did that?
So they flew me from Michigan to Chicago, and there was a hang up there. So my parents were going to drive to Chicago, but then they ended up getting it. And so I flew into Detroit.
Okay.
And then my adopted parents, Warren and Carol, adopted me and signed all the paperwork and picked me up in Detroit.
No kidding. And
Yeah.
they're from here.
They are from Flint, Michigan. My dad worked right at this parking lot here when it was all
Shut
Fisher
your
Body.
mouth. No kidding. The one
Yeah,
we're in now.
Right, the one we're in right now.
Yeah. Well, we planned that for the show.
Yeah.
So, no
was cool.
kidding. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yep. And then my mom used to work at the old where Mott is,
Yeah,
St.
yeah.
Joe's Hospital.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Okay. So, so where did you go to school when you were growing up?
I went to school in the Kersley district.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
one of them rich kids. Huh?
Yeah, well,
Kidding.
yeah, middle class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were the soccer kids.
yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's see. You said you were born in what, 75?
74.
74. So what year did you graduate?
1993.
1993. Okay. And you graduated from Kersley?
Kersley, yes, sir.
All right. So were you like a good student, bad student, medium student?
I
Like, I
I
was
don't even know
average.
if I was a student.
Outstanding. You were there enough to get it.
Barely enough to get it. You know, I graduated with a 1.9, and I don't even think you're allowed to graduate with that nowadays.
Wow.
You know.
That's not a blood
I
alcohol
think
level.
no, absolutely not. You know, and I think they just passed me through just to get rid of me because I was more of a nuisance than anything.
And why do you think that was?
I don't know. I you know what? And sometimes, you know, going through my step work, I tried to figure out. I don't know what it was. I didn't like authority or school.
Just got that rebel spirit from day one, yeah?
Yeah, from day one. I think I was probably a pain in the butt on
Yeah.
the plane coming over from Vietnam.
This kid doesn't stop crying.
Yeah.
You know? So you get in there and you just have a wild spirit. It's just the way God made you.
Yeah,
Part of
yeah.
who and you are. You know, like when I was telling people I'm growing up, I'm like, I'm a fighter. I used to apologize for it, but God made me that way.
Yeah,
I was just fighting the
absolutely.
wrong things, right? So probably kind of the same.
Yeah.
Same, because you got to have all that energy that you have to do what you do, right? Which we'll get to in a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so you graduate just under, what's that, Sodom cum laude or whatever it's called?
Yeah, just under.
just a
Yeah.
shade under.
Right.
And magna cum laude, right?
Yeah, right.
Just missed it. And then what? What'd you do after that?
So I got I'm small framed, you know, so I was looking for the easiest labored profession out there that I could do.
Okay.
And so I went into truck driving.
Okay.
And you know, it's kind of funny is, you know, my English teacher would always yell at me, "Mr. Johnson, you're not going to make any money staring out a window all day."
And you're like, matter of fact.
I won that one. Get
So
paid
you're
very
saying
well
there's a chance.
Yes, there is a chance. I get paid very well to stare out a window all day long. Yep.
Listen, I'm going to prove you wrong on a spite.
I won that one.
That's
yeah,
right.
absolutely. I wish I could meet that, you know, go back and
Now, I was about to ask, how old were you when that teacher said that?
I think I was right around 15-ish.
No kidding.
Yeah.
All right, so the preset on this is what? So when did you start getting into partying and that kind of stuff? Like, were you always into that?
So it was around age 9. It was
9?
9.
Wow.
I was dabbling with the marijuana and sneaking the beer.
Now,
you know,
how in the
and
world at
cigarettes.
9 did you get pot, man?
I hung out with the wrong crowd, the older
At
crowd,
9?
at 9 years old.
So
yeah.
they let you hang out? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking, if I'm 15 and a 9-year-old comes out, I'm like, you need to go away. You know what I'm saying?
Well, smooth talker.
Oh,
You know.
hello, darling.
Yeah. I just adapted with them. You know.
Wow. You know it takes high intelligence to do that, correct?
Yes, it does.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
All right. So at 9, you're hanging out with the cool kids, sneaking beer, smoking pot at 9. Because as
Smoking
parents,
cigarettes.
cigarettes. Okay.
Yeah.
So most of the time, as parents, you're not even thinking 9
No.
years old. You know, that's a teenage problem. That's wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you were ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I was right there.
All right. So you start smoking cigarettes and partying at night. All right, give me an example of what, because I cannot stick this in my brain. I got you in like dinosaur pajamas, hanging out with like 15. Give me an example so that makes sense. Like,
So I was walking down the street and I see the guy that had tattoos. He had a mohawk, and I was like, "Wow, that's really cool." I
Okay.
didn't like the dress clothes and some of the stuff the other kids are wearing. I was
Okay.
like, "Nah, that just ain't for me."
so you
And
just had a wild personality.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and I approached him, and he did do that. Get out of here. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
was persistent. I just kept coming back every day, and was like his shadow. Like that lost puppy you just can't kick away.
And you just thought it was
there.
so cool. You're
Yeah.
like, that dude's got to figure it out.
Yeah, he's got it figured out. He's got the whole world on his shoulders. He's ready to. That I wanted that.
Okay. All right, because thank you for that, because I was like, man, I slide in and let's let the kids and then the parents, where are the parents? So this was just like
Yeah.
on the 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're like, I'm hanging out with this dude.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
he's going to have to get me to get away
He
from him.
showed me the priorities in life,
Mm-hmm.
how to skip school and how to get in trouble and how to backtalk and hate authority, and that was everything I was looking for back then.
Right. So, yeah, that's living the dream then, right?
At that point in time, it was.
Yeah.
It was living the dream.
All right, so you're 9. So that progressed. How long did that go on?
That went on for a long time. Through middle school, I was already starting to sell it. I was already starting to. I was my best customer. Started right around 11 years old. Back then, we had pagers. And I think at 12, I had 2 pagers.
Wow.
And then when
Those are expensive back then,
they
too.
were, yes, and,
Like doctors had those and then drug dealers.
yeah, and drug dealers. That was the only 2.
Yep.
And then I got the cell phone. So it was probably I started getting really bad into it about 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your poor parents, dude, like what's going on there?
Yeah, well, I'd sneak out. They wouldn't know. It was always, and then I had the 2 older sisters that, they were always up to mischief. So if I didn't tell, they didn't tell. It was one of kind of those
Oh,
things.
so you had them.
Yeah. The blackmail.
Yeah, the blackmail on the sisters.
Yes.
Boy, you're starting to,
Yeah.
man. So you got the blackmail. You got you're 12 years old. You got the drugs going on, the blackmail.
Yeah.
And you're going to school. Boy, you got it by the tail.
I had it going on, and there was times that I was skipping. I was doing, I think I skipped 78 days
Wow.
out of 100. I think we went 180 days
How did
back
you
then.
even get a grade to graduate? That blows my mind.
I know, it's crazy.
They just wanted you out.
They did. I was a
So
trouble.
they knew you were trouble, and you knew they were trouble, and you had a mutual exclusive.
Constantly in fights at school, and it was just, they were always calling my parents and, trying to explain this and that to them, and it was just, one of those.
Was it just that rebel spirit that you just have?
I think
free-
it was. I think it was. Yeah.
Because that's just your nature as a person.
I was just always loud and always getting into mischief, man. I was adventurous.
Like people don't know that you're not there. Like everybody always knows. Asian
Yeah.
Ben's there, wub, wub, wub,
Right.
wub,
Yeah.
and before you shut it off,
Every time. Every time.
Yeah, just to make sure
Yeah.
the pipes are cleared. Yeah, no, it's. I find it interesting because that whole rebel spirit is an absolute necessity for what you do now. So you're 12, 13-year-old, and how much money could you possibly have been making back then? I mean,
Not
crazy.
much.
Yeah.
I mean, dime bags here and there,
Yeah.
but I mean, it was enough to keep everything going and enough to keep, my supply going on top of,
Yeah.
obviously
Making some kind of profit.
I was
All right.
spoiled. I didn't want,
Yeah.
my parents bought
All right,
everything.
so you did this until high school, past high school?
So about high school, and then it was I developed testicular cancer. Mm-hmm. So I went in,
and you were how old?
I was about 16.
16.
16
Okay.
at the time,
All right.
and it went on to about 17-ish, and it was getting to be the point where I was getting high enough to where I didn't care about it.
Wow.
So my left testicle got about as big as a softball. So,
Wow.
and I just joked about it like I just got big.
Yeah,
I got
that's
big
what God
kahunas.
bless you with,
You know what I
right?
mean? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. Being Asian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I let it go,
Yeah.
and then I finally decided, you know what, I need to go talk to my mom. She's in the medical profession.
Yeah.
So
How long was that going on before you talked to her?
about a year and a half.
Wow.
How do you go to
How
your
painful
mom?
was that?
It wasn't painful at all.
Oh, okay. It's
I just
just
couldn't
odd.
shut my legs.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, but in my head, I'm thinking, how do I go talk to my mom
Right.
about my nuts?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it took you a
I
year
joked
and a
about
half
it.
to get the courage.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I realized it was getting to the point it was just getting way out of hand.
Yeah.
I had to go say something. So
Yeah.
then we went into the doctors and they took me to, they said, you need to go to the hospital right now.
Yeah, right.
So then they were like, well, we're just going in for emergency surgery.
Emergency surgery.
And because it just got so out of hand. And at that point in time, I was, just doing the marijuana and beer and
Yeah.
drinking really heavy. Then after that, it was the opiates.
All right, so before we find out what happened in that surgery, we are going to take a quick break. If you haven't gone to spiritualwarfareunit.com and checked it out, our life application class, and you check that out. If you haven't gone to www.drugfreeallstars.org, check out our buddy Asian Ben. We will be right back. Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let you know about our life application program that we have for churches and nonprofits in the area that are trying to find programming that they can use in case the corona shuts you down and you're not able to get in. You go to spiritualwarfareunit.com, you click on our episodes, and you can check out our programs for as little as $29.99 a month to make sure that we're still getting the word out to those people that need it. Now, back to the program. All right, welcome back to the Warrior's Way. Our warrior this week from the Drug Free All Stars is Ben. And Ben, you were just telling us about this major surgery that you're about ready to have.
Yeah.
And so, what was the surgery for exactly?
So it was removed the left testicle.
Completely?
Completely gone.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, because I didn't know this at the time, but cancer is generated through the lymph nodes.
Okay.
So then they went in through my abdomen and removed all my lymph nodes in the abdomen area. And then I had 57 staples in me. I've got titanium staples still inside me. And it was just, they prescribed me back then it was the Vicodin and the opiates.
And that just sent you down a whole nother road, didn't it?
Well, it worked fine.
Yeah.
But then it got to the point to where it was like my addictive personality took over. I liked the feeling.
Yeah,
It took me out of the here and now.
Yeah.
And then it just, so then after those surgeries and everything, I kept having bowel obstruction, and it was from the scar adhesion.
Wow.
From everything repairing itself, and it would wrap itself around my bowel intestines. So I had to keep going back in for surgery. So total surgeries, I had 7
Wow.
by the time I was 18.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then it was becoming to play the doctors and the prescription game and the moving and grooving to try to get more. You know?
And yet personality just rolled right into that.
It just rolled. It was like, cool, let's do it.
Yeah, so you were like, oh, I know how to do this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy. So that was right by the time you graduated. So it's right 93-ish.
It was right around 93-ish. When I graduated, I went through another surgery, and I had staples down the center of my abdomen.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were like, well, if you don't want to, walk across the stage, you don't have to. And I'm like, oh, heck no, I am good. The principal back then was Mr.
You're like,
Hill.
no, I'm doing this.
I am doing this, man. You guys didn't think I'd graduate.
You're like, here, hold my Coke.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? Well, we can have someone walk beside you and help you.
Yeah.
Oh, heck no. Dude, and my hair was down to my waist, all one length.
Right.
Back then I was known as long-haired Benny.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way I'm going to ask for help
Right.
at all whatsoever.
Right.
I'm doing this and at the end of the night, it was just horrible.
I
hurting
bet,
so
dude.
bad. And
Was it worth it?
It was worth it to glare in the principal's eyes, because I probably spent more time up in the office than I did in any classroom from all the crap I was
That was
getting
more
into.
of your homeroom was the office.
Yeah. So I was absolutely going up there to give him that one last smirk.
Yeah.
And let him know I ain't doing detention.
I'm sure
no
there was
more.
a smile back.
There was. It was a great moment at that point in time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I graduated again, just under Magnum cum laude, just a pinch, and I opened it up and they don't have your diploma. I'm like, oh crap!
Yeah. I do, and I was like, what the heck happened here?
It's like they caught me.
They screwed me one last time.
Yeah, I thought that 2.0 was solid.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you graduate, you're dealing with the surgeries, starting to get addicted to the opioids at this point, Vicodin specifically. So what happens next in Ben's life? Like what goes
So I was moving and grooving. I moved down to Florida, came back up, moved back down to Florida. I was moving all over. Couldn't figure out what I wanted to do in life. I just knew that the dope was making me feel really good.
Yeah.
And it fixed all my problems at the time.
Right.
So I thought.
Right.
So then I was just playing every doctor that you possibly could at the time and every pharmacy that you could. Then it got to the point where it was just more work and hassle. So then I was on the streets, man, and I seen someone doing, the needle thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So I was introduced to that right around the 18-ish mark. And
So it was a quick development.
quick development.
Oh,
quick.
okay.
And
Yeah,
it was
all right.
like, how do you do that? And it started just snorting it. And then it was like, hey, well, you can get a lot quicker results doing it this way. And I'm like, well, how do you do that?
Yeah.
And it was a hot second, man, and I was rolling, and it was because you can, instead of paying the money per pill, I could just go to the corner and get the same thing and more for the $20.
Right.
So it was a lot easier. I didn't have to deal with doctors, insurance, and then it got to the point where I was banned at every pharmacy in Genesee, in Oakland County, in Saginaw County.
And you did this all before the age of 19?
All before the age of 19. Yeah. Amazing.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, you were a go-getter.
I strive to be the best at everything that I do. Right. So why would this be any less?
Right. So I'm going to be the best addict.
Yeah. That was my. I don't want to say that was my goal.
Yeah, but why stop?
Why stop and keep going?
All right. So you're graduating, from medical to street, which becomes a little less safe, and then you're going from pills to crush to needle. So now we're in the crazy domain. We're in the deep end.
Now
and you're 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm in the deep end, and I'm like 5'3".
Yeah. So the water doesn't have to be deep to get there.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So when did that all start to derail, man? Like
it started to derail a few years back. I kept everything under wraps. No one was really knowing.
Yeah. You could hide it and play.
I could hide it, play it off, and addicts, we become chameleons. We can just adapt
you guys
to
are great
any situation.
actors.
Yeah,
great actors.
Yeah, and we know how to talk, so we can generally make anybody believe what we're trying to sell at that point in time.
Right.
And then it got to the point to where I haven't weighed over 100 pounds in forever, so it was like, I need to go into something that I can easily do and still keep my addiction going.
Right. So that was an active process.
It
was. I want to be functional, but I still want to.
I still want to be able to do what I can do.
All right. So you're how old when this is going on?
I was about 20.
All right. And so when did being functional to non-functional? How long was that process?
That was about 10 years.
So from 20 to 30.
Right around there. Correct.
All right. So over time, you went from being like basically high functioning addict to being a person that was high addict and low functioning.
Yes.
All right. And so that process took about 10 years. Any relationships or anything going on during that time that was of serious nature?
No relationships, not really.
Just really to yourself?
Just to myself.
Okay.
Relationships don't really go well with drug addiction.
That's why I was asking. And if they are, they're very toxic.
Very toxic and not too long lasting.
Right.
Yeah.
So from your 20s to 30s, you're just... So what jobs did you find? Was it truck driving?
Truck driving, yeah. I tried doing the paper routes. I tried doing, the dishwashing, the line cooks, the roofing, the siding, and it was just like, you know what? I'm going into trucking.
Yeah.
And I was, and I excel at everything.
Because
So
you
I
still had that staring out the window at 15 thing as a dream.
well, you know what? It didn't hit me till years ago that I was driving.
Yeah.
I think I was in the West Coast area going, wow, I'm actually doing this. I was top of the line at my class in truck driving school.
Because you liked it.
I aced out. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and all the other physical work that I was doing before truck driving, I was like, this is way easy. You guys are actually paying me to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get to travel and see the United States,
And you're paying me to do it.
and you're paying me to do it.
Yeah.
So I hit all 48 states
Cool.
in a semi by the age 25,
Wow.
and while keeping my addiction going.
Yeah.
While I was on the road.
Yeah, functional.
Yeah.
All right, so 30, it hits the wall.
Around 30,
Around
it
30?
hits the wall. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
It was because I was over the road at the time. It was
Yeah.
hard. I mean, you just can't pull a semi down in Cincinnati down the city streets looking for what you're looking for.
Yeah, it'd be
You know
a
what I
little
mean?
conspicuous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so it was getting rough. It was getting more and more hard work.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you know what? I need to do something different. So I came off the road and I was running local. That
Okay.
way I could still keep my addiction going. I was in town.
So the choice of doing local was because of the addiction.
I think so.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
All right, go
Yeah.
ahead. So
it
you're
wasn't a family because I didn't have any
Yeah,
girlfriends or none of that.
Yeah.
It was more accessible to get the dope being home every night versus being on the road and having it shipped to me FedEx.
This dude is just running your life.
Big time. Running it.
Man, just have that monster just whenever he says jump.
When it says jump, I ask how high.
Yeah. All right. So you're local now, and you're in your round 30. What
So
happens?
it just got to the point to where I was still functioning.
Yeah.
At that point in time, thank God I never got in an accident, and I was running the local Detroit, Flint, surrounding areas, automotive parts.
Yeah.
In GM, it was easy to get anything in there as well because it's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a little city in there. And once you get to know people, and like us addicts do, is we can conjure our way into anything and get to know people, and it's all on who you know.
Yeah.
So I'd get in with the in crowd, and no matter where I went, and it just kept going and going and going. And then probably around 33,
Yeah.
it was like I can't do this no more.
Was it like a
So-
recollection, or something happened? Like, did you get caught? You get busted?
I never got caught in a semi.
Wow.
And it was just to the point to where my addiction became full-time job. I was like, I can't do this. So then I got out of trucking for a while, and I was just slinging the dope to keep my addiction going. And the point.
So it's like taking everything away from you a little bit at a time.
Everything, everything, and it wasn't. It was like you said, over that period of time that it took to do that, and I didn't care. I just kept going and running.
Where was a moment where you're like, man, I gotta find some help? Where did that come in?
That came in right around 35-ish.
So you did this for 2 years, where
Yeah.
you're really just hardcore.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I got caught up with the law and in and out of county jails, 40 different county jails, 19 treatment centers. I just couldn't figure it out, and
Yeah.
and I don't know if I just couldn't figure it out or it was I didn't want to figure it out at the time.
Wasn't the time.
Do
you know what made it the time when it was time? Like,
I was sitting in the county jail up in Saginaw fighting an armed robbery case. I was in a single cell, and it was just like, how'd I get here one more time?
yeah,
I mean, these guys, and I knew about the rooms of recovery. They're no better than me.
yeah,
Sometimes I think I'm smarter than half of these jokers in here.
yeah.
How am I not getting it?
Right.
And it was crazy. And so, and I knew about the rooms of recovery, and I just thought, well, you know what? There's got to be a different way.
Well, what's
for a man.
rooms of recovery so people understand?
Well, the rooms of recovery is you got well, because of traditions, I can't state the names.
Mm-hmm.
But there's, the spiritual names like Reformers Unanimous,
Yep,
Celebrate
yep.
Recovery, and those
Yep,
other
I gotcha.
ones.
So it's the places that you can go to get help.
You can.
Okay.
Yep.
And so it was at this moment that you realized, I have got to get my junk together.
I got to do something different. This just is not working.
All right, so we are going to take our second break there. That's a perfect place to stop. If you haven't gone to Spiritual Warfare Unit and checked out our life application class, please check that out. If you haven't gone to YouTube and checked out the Spiritual Warfare Unit for our YouTube program, please check that out. Like, share, and subscribe. Check out www.drugfreeallstars.org, and we will be right back.
I'm really impressed with the teachings that Isaac has been bringing to us, as this is all based from Proverbs.
I like it because it's simple, and it doesn't matter who you are. It's very easy to understand and apply to your life.
It points out, my bad parts, and, but it's showing me how to do the good parts. And, I'm trying to apply that and, make a better life for myself because I'm tired of where I've been.
It's impacted a lot of the guys as they continue to talk and ask questions after the meetings, as they speak to one another regarding the meeting and the messages and the topics that are being brought up, which are down-to-earth topics of situations and things that we live with on a day-to-day basis.
He takes the Bible and he breaks it down into simple terms and where you can understand. And like I said before, sometimes a lot of churches, even the Salvation Army, sometimes we start using these big words that people don't understand, like even saying someone got saved. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean when you say someone got saved? And it's accepting Jesus into your heart. So it's like words like that we use that people don't understand.
It's just very interesting how he points out, the different things of, the sin part, and then he comes back with the, how to make it better, and he just points it out. It's there. I didn't know all this stuff was in there, but now that he's pointing it out, it's like, wow, I guess if you really dig into the Bible, you find these things.
This is a daily moral standards that we can live by, that the teachings are coming from. And honestly, we can take verse by verse as what he's done, and pretty much he's done the hard work for us, and now laying it out so that we have an easier understanding.
There's some people who don't like to be in Bible classes, but this one seems to
horrible.
get their attention.
All right. Welcome back to the Warrior's Way. We were just getting into the section of the moment of change. You were in jail for armed robbery. And before we get into that, this is our gem session, the third session. I always ask our warriors for a couple of funny stories. And so, Ben, what do you got, buddy?
So I'm up in Saginaw County, and they do pods up there, right?
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of guys in there. And
Hold on, explain pods.
pods are where there's like 15 or 20 guys, and they're bunk beds, and they're just spread all over.
All right, perfect.
So, and they segregate up in Saginaw. So you got the blacks with the blacks, Mexican, and the gangbangers, and so on. So I'm in this pod with all these people. So CO comes by, goes by Strawberry, and I'm like, hey, Strawberry, dude, where's the Asian cell? And he goes, go back. And I was like, no, seriously, how come? You know what? I want to be with the Asians. He says, all right, Johnson, pack your crap up. Let's go. And I'm like, oh, right, I got it. So they takes me up to a single cell. And he kicks me in there. In the single cell, you don't get none of your belongings. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. He goes, well, dude, you wanted to be with the Asians. Here you go.
Here you are, sweetheart.
I was the only Asian in the county. So
you lost.
I lost though. So, me being a people person, and I don't have no game, no hustle, no nothing.
Yeah.
I'm by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he's like, well, guess you won't open your smart mouth anymore, will you?
Yeah.
And he kept me in there for 2 weeks.
Ooh.
Oh, and it sucked. Single cell, you only get out one time a day.
For 1 hour?
Not even an hour, just enough to go shower. Then you're back in your single cell.
Oh, you were locked in for you did that to yourself.
I did it to myself.
Oh, hashtag winning.
So I was like, this is not good.
Wow.
Yeah,
so that was part of the revealing process.
I was like, holy cow. Open mouth, insert foot.
All right. Anything else?
So, man, I got a ton of them, man.
It's all good. You kick up on it. I kind of want to get back into your story anyways because it flows in there. But if you want to put something, we'll do it later. So you're in the cell. You got some alone time for a couple of weeks, and you being so smart. And then what happened from that point?
So I'm in the single cell, and the thing is I'm thinking, how did I get here one more time?
Yeah.
And the only thing you get in the single cell is a Bible. So I started going through it, and I'm being a believer from a little kid.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't right. So I started praying. And at this point in time, I'm coming off a 3 grams a day habit.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was
So you're
like-
detoxing.
I'm detoxing on top of being a smart
Yeah,
butt,
yeah.
you
And
know.
being in jail. It's probably
Yeah,
a
it's-
good thing you were in that cell, honestly.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah.
you know, I started reading, and it was just like, I didn't have any withdrawals. So I knew that was a God. Because all the other times I was incarcerated,
Yeah.
the withdrawals were just horrible.
That's for real.
Horrible.
Okay. All right.
And
Wow.
it was always worse in the county jail than it was a treatment center, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, man, this is, you know, this has got to be a God thing.
Yeah.
So that's when I started taking my recovery serious in 2007 when I walked out of the county jail. And I was fighting that armed robbery case,
Yeah.
2 years in there. And I just knew that this God gave me another chance. You know, because the average expectancy of someone intravenously using is like 8 years.
Yeah.
I've extended that, and this is another chance that God has given me. I'm not gonna spit in his face. I'm gonna see what I can do from here.
Right. So what did you do? What was the process?
So the process was when I got out, it was I went to a correctional facility up in Saginaw.
Okay.
I done a plea deal with them, and I done a year program up there, and it was
Did it work? Did you like it?
no, it sucked.
It sucked?
You know, it sucked bad. But I was ready for change at that point in time.
Yeah.
I was just sick of in and out of incarceration and
Yeah.
living out of dumpsters and eating out of dumpsters.
Right. Well,
Living
what
in-
made it suck? Like, what was just the process of how they got clean, or the way they did it, or
Well, it was living on the streets,
yeah,
knowing that I was better than that. You know,
I gotcha.
and knowing where I came from, the upbringing that my parents gave me, I
Yeah.
knew right from wrong. I just didn't go the right way.
yeah.
I just kept choosing.
You
the
just
wrong
chose the
And so that was the turning point for me. And
Cool.
so here's the other funny joke is when I was up in that correction facility, after 8 months, you have to go out for 8 hours
Yeah.
and prove that you can go in society, right? So I never rode public transportation before, right? So
Like a bus or-
like bus, anything.
Okay.
So they ship me out and they give me these tickets and I get on the bus and I ride around Saginaw. Downtown Saginaw.
Yeah.
And I just do the whole entire route. We get back to the terminal. Old boy says, "Hey, you got to get off." I'm like, "What do you mean I got to get off?" He's like, "Well, you didn't get off at any stop. You got to get off. Or you got to pay again." I'm like, "Dude, he said, I says,
I
how,
paid my ticket, man.
I says, how do you?" And he says, "Well, you guys got to pick where you want to get off." And I said, "Well, I just thought you knew where all these people wanted to go." He goes, "You know what? I'll let you stay." But he says, "Where do you want to go?" I says, "I don't know, the mall. I got to waste some time."
Yeah.
He says, "So when I get to the mall, you got to pull this little string and it gives me a little ding and I stop." I'm like, "Well, I didn't know that. I just thought you
thought
knew where
the
everybody."
driver knew everyone.
Everyone. So I rode around Saginaw, the whole city, one route, and he tried to kick me off. And I'm like, "You got to be kidding."
How long did that take? Just out of curiosity.
Probably about 45 minutes. 45 minutes.
So you still had 7 hours and 15 minutes to waste.
Yeah. So that he dropped me off at the mall. You know,
Nice.
but then it just got to the point to where I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired, and there
Yeah.
had to be change somewhere, somehow. I just didn't know how to grasp it and get to it yet.
Yeah.
You know, and these places, these treatment center. Well, this was a correctional facility slash treatment center.
Yeah.
So a lot of MDOC guys were there.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys. You know, in these places, 95% of them don't want to change their underwear, let alone their life. And I'm
Right.
stuck there with them.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
so-
the pretenders.
Yeah. And it was just like I kept to myself.
Yeah.
You know what?
You got to when you're legit, right?
So it was all, and I know from the rooms of recovery is you got to change only one thing, and that's everything. But I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So I got with some people, and it was like, if I change something little every single day,
Yeah.
you know, when the big changes come, I'll be more apt to do it. You
right.
know,
'Cause you'll have
may-
a history of success.
yeah, and it may sound funny. You know, the groups that I talk to, you know, the guys, sit down when you go to the bathroom instead of standing up.
Yeah.
For the old guys, we understand it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
But it's change in your routine every
Right.
single day. So when those big changes come, it's more apt to do it. And the thing is if I didn't change anything in this facility, when I hit those doors, every single time without fail, nothing changed. I
Right.
always went back to what I know and what I was used to.
Right.
So that change inside there of something little every single day helped me jumpstart my recovery to changing everything about my life.
It's baby steps to get to big steps, right?
It is.
It's
It is.
so the whole month. So your philosophy of success was to eat an elephant as one bite at a time.
Absolutely.
All right. So you're out. You're staying. So I think you said 19. This is your 19th attempt.
I was at 18
18?
treatment centers.
Okay. So, and you're in your mid 30s, and you do this, and then how do you get from there to the Drug Free All Stars? Like, how did that process happen?
So Stacy Burns is the founder of Drug Free All Stars out of Oakland County, and she's just like one of us, and she wanted to see something different, and so I've always been the helping individual to help somebody get out of the crap that I was in and just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so we were approached. We started with the Detroit chapter, and it was brought to us, well, hey, you know, her vision was to get it spread all over.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, we're in the Flint area. We were traveling for the board meetings, so on and so forth. And it was brought to us, hey, would you guys think about, you know, starting something up in your guys' area?
Yeah.
And we're like, well, you know, maybe. And it was one of those commitment things. And
Yeah.
nowadays, it's one of those, if I commit to something, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And so, and that also teaches me in recovery to complete something.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, we need 5 men and 5 women to get it started. So we rounded up 5 strong people in recovery, and you know, some fell off, some came back, and,
Yeah.
and some are still with us, and we just keep going, man. And I liked the vision of what Stacy was trying to do. Me and my wife is the president of the Flint chapter, and then I'm the president of the men's side.
Yeah.
So we just branched off from them, and let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
I mean, worst case scenario, it don't take off, but we
Right.
tried. And,
Yeah.
But we'll never know if we don't try.
Right.
And so what Drug Free All Stars does is we try to, like when you come out of a treatment center, you're done.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you hear anything. They don't call you back. So we try to help them from point A to point Z.
And what does that mean when you say
That means, okay, so if someone calls and they says, hey, we need help get into treatment, so on and so forth, we help break the red tape for them. Sometimes people don't know the questions to ask and where to ask them. So we do that for them. And ultimately, they have to put the footwork in. We just tell them what questions to ask, who you need to. We give them the resources to do it.
You give them the ability to be successful, and then they make the decision.
And it's up to
process.
them. Correct.
All right. So, when you were going through your situation with your therapy, how long was the process between staying clean and then, like, helping other people with the program? How long was that?
It was a few years. Because me being the knucklehead that I am and hard-headed, it took a while for me to get to that point. I got into H&I, which they call hospitals and institutions, with some recovery rooms.
Yeah.
And that's where I found my calling, was helping other people that just don't know where to go and what to do. Because who better to tell them and help them than the person that's been incarcerated so many times in so many treatment centers.
Yeah.
We're not stupid. We just need the right direction to get there.
So, how did you know that was your calling? Like, what was the thing?
Well, it was knowing that I made it out. It was hearing people say, hey, we heard you come in and speak at a facility, and
Yeah.
I'm celebrating 2 years clean now.
So you knew it worked.
I knew it worked.
So going through the situation, struggling with addiction, and then attempting, the attempt was successful. So you knew the process was good.
Yes.
And you just wanted other people to know that process was successful, and that's what your commitment was.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So the reason why I asked that question in that very specific way is because a lot of people will go through a situation. I have family members that will go through a situation, and they're struggling with alcoholism, they're struggling with addiction, with whatever drug that you want to pick. And there's always an excuse of why they're not capable, right?
Yes,
Like, so
all the time.
So how, coming from your perspective as a person who struggled with addiction, What kind of things would you want to tell the families who have family members that struggle with addiction of how to handle that? Like how would they handle that person? Like if it was you talking to your parents about handling you, how would you advise them to do that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it would be, because my parents enabled me a lot. They paid my phone bill. They paid this. They paid that. They allowed me to do whatever I wanted. We like to tell the family members to stop that. We get, it may be your only child, but you know what? You may be killing your only child by helping them out, by paying this.
So
by paying that.
finances is something that you would say no to.
Absolutely.
And that's because why?
Financing, because it allows them to spend their money on whatever they want.
Oh, I got it.
Whatever they can hustle up.
So the
instead of paying
responsibility of the
bills.
cell phone negates money they could use for addiction.
Absolutely.
All right. Is there anything else?
Housing,
Okay.
kick them out.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of resources out there,
There is.
for housing.
Yeah.
Kick them out on the street. I know it sucks and it hurts. However, that may be the only thing that helps that individual.
Okay. So tough love is what you're saying.
Real tough.
So pull back their ability to be able to financially use what you're giving them to feed that addiction.
Yes.
All right, that is great information on that. We're going to take a quick break. If you've not gone to spiritualwarfareunit.com, pucked on struggling so you can help some other people, check that out. Go to drugfreeallstars.org to check out our Warrior of the Week, Ben, and we will be right back.
So people that are talking about breaking the rules use their fingers to speak to each other. And that's what gangs do to communicate from point A to point B. It's almost like this has been in the Bible for 2,000 years. And people feel like it's a new thing. That is unbelievable, isn't it? That things that are happening in your life today are in here from 2,000 years ago. That's very weird.
All right, welcome back to the Warrior's Way. This is our last session. We are with Asian Ben from Drug Free All Stars, and he was just giving us some tips on how to help our family members and friends who might be struggling with addiction in regards to how to keep them in the right direction. And limiting their income is basically what you were telling us, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And better to be homeless than
killing them.
Than killing them, right? All right. So now that we've got that story, which is an amazing story. You come from Vietnam through a cool system,
Yeah.
all the way through, struggle with addiction, find your way through it, know the system works, helping other people. It's hooked up with Drug Free All Stars. And so what are you doing now?
Still active in recovery. We're in the process of a move. So we're turning over our officer's position to the people that are here and that are on our team. They'll continue the good fight with the boots on the ground and get out there in the community. And then possibly once we get to Florida, starting a chapter down there. There's a lot of things bouncing around in our head of what we can start and what we're going to continue with that we've done up here. Obviously, our recovery, mine and my wife's, is going to continue no matter where we go.
Yep.
It's just a matter of finding the resources down in Florida, and we're just going to continue doing the fight down there.
All right, so we're going to be multi-state then, that's what I'm hearing.
What we're going to try. That's our vision. That was always Stacy's vision to get it nationwide, worldwide.
Yeah.
And we're going to do our best to start another chapter down in the Florida area. If God willing, if that's his plan for us, he may point us in a different direction, All
right, so these hotline numbers that you gave me are still going to be good when you move, correct?
They're still going to be good, yes. The hotline numbers.
So the Flint one is the 810-250-7657, right?
Correct.
And then the Detroit one is 248-907-3833.
Yes, sir.
All right, so those are the two numbers. If you know someone that's struggling with addiction and they need help, they call these numbers, and what happens when they call these numbers?
So when they call these numbers, depending on what they need, we will divert them. We'll give them the resources.
So what options do they have, like housing?
housing. We send like here in the Flint area.
Yeah.
I've sent people to the facilities around here. We like to use the Great Lakes recovery housing. But wherever they may need and what they may need, we just look up in our resources and find out where's the best place it's going to fit for them. I mean, ultimately, it's up to them to do the footwork.
So if it's a family member who needs help with someone who's struggling, can they call as well?
They can call as well. We do. I mean,
It's like a consult?
yeah, it's a consult. We point them in the right direction. I mean, because obviously we're not licensed professionals, so
course.
we just kind of. You got this option, this option, this option. Now, we would recommend this option for the situation that you're in. Obviously, there's more, and then we let the individual make that decision and choice where they
Yeah,
want to go.
and I know you guys are in partnership with UCAN, United Community Addiction Network, and they do have licensed therapy that they can get on there, and they have it's like a video. They can go on there and do it via their phone or whatever, which is cool. So if someone's stressed or they're feeling suicidal or something, they can go on UCAN, and boom, they got that help.
Yeah.
Because you guys are boots on the ground, and we've known each other for about a decade.
Yeah.
Working in the same circles and stuff.
Yeah.
And I always end up finding the wild children because I'm one of those. I just end up, like you said, you find your way
Absolutely.
into that. And my thing was actually never was because my mom struggles with addiction, so it was never really drugs for me. I just like to fight, man. It was like, hey, you're the tough guy. Oh, hey, tough guy, how are you? Like I was just stupid that way, And like you were like, I don't know why. And it's funny. I have no idea why I did that. And then once I got in the car accident, and God gets a hold of your life, and you're changing things around. It's crazy. Like you're supposed to be that way. You're just picking the wrong things to sit there and buck against. And I used to apologize because I was, I'm a fighter, and I don't mean to. It's like, no, I'm definitely a fighter. I definitely enjoy the fight, but it's not really the fight that I enjoy. You know what it is? It's the resolution.
Absolutely,
right? Like
for sure.
You cannot be good at solving problems unless you enjoy conflict, and conflict lets me know that resolution is coming. So I want to run at that so we can find a solution and go to the next one and go to the next one. And so that's kind of what you were talking about when you're like, yeah, I don't know, but it seems to be, especially when it comes to drug rehabilitation, alcohol rehabilitation, and jail reentry. Like people are struggling, went to jail, did something stupid, and they're trying to get out. That personality of being a fighter is one of those things that is like a connector. And you have to be loud, right? You have to. Your clothes typically are irritating to people. Like your hair tends to be annoying.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we are that way, but it has to be like loud music, barbecue, and like tattoos and that.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
It has, and I don't know why it's that, but it's like I need you to see me.
Yeah.
And that I have value, and for whatever reason that results in a negative response. But then when you get past that, it's really, let me help you. I see you, and I want to help you.
Right.
And that's what you and your wife have been doing. Now, I held the story of your wife to the last thing.
Okay.
Because you didn't talk about it, so I want. So you're going through all the things that you went through, and then you met your wife when? How old were you?
I think right around 34-ish, 35-ish.
So it was right at the tail end of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That wind down.
I met her in a regional, it's the area level of one of the recovery rooms. And I just seen her across the room, and I was like, you know what? I got to have that. I got to have her somehow, some way. And it was my persistence.
Imagine that.
And I mean, she's well known in the recovery community. Sits on a lot of boards.
Yes, she does.
So that helps out with the Drug Free All Stars and cutting through the red tape. And I just knew I had to, and it was persistent. And everything that I want in life, I'm gonna go for, and I'm gonna go head on.
Yeah.
And I don't care what it takes. And that's how. And it just we've been married coming up on 6 years in September. So. We have our ups and downs. Sometimes, I run my program on her. She runs, hers on mine. So it definitely puts a lot of adventure into our life and our marriage.
Sure. But she's still a stabilizing factor for you.
She is. Yeah, she is a huge backbone. I like to say God is my number one. But without her, there's a lot of things in life that I just probably would have just dive bombed and head first into the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's and the thing is we're so opposite in different areas. You know, where she lacks, I pick up, and where she lacks, I pick up, and
Yeah.
that's the cool thing about it. You know.
Yeah. So you guys been married 6 years now.
6 years, yeah. It was cool to do the things that we've been doing in the past few years. Our bucket list is only through the grace of God and recovery.
Yeah.
You know.
So you guys both do drug free All Stars, and now you're heading down to Florida and doing that. And how long have you been doing drug free All Stars now?
I believe we've been up here for going on our 3rd year.
Okay.
I think Drug Free All Stars has been right around coming up, I think, on 6 years. Started originally out of Detroit area.
All right, and you guys do Soberfest and
We do
any other? Is there any other events people should know about that you guys got going on?
We do other events. We've got one coming up. The team is scheduling one. I'm not sure on the time and date with the move and all that.
Yeah.
I've been kind of absent on the.
So can they go to the drugfreeallstars.org and check out what they have as far as social events and hanging out stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and what kind of stuff would people be looking forward to if they went to one of these drug-free All-Star events?
Fun.
Like define that, like cornhole, hot dogs.
We
like-
we just had a bowling event at Bees Bowling here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we raised quite a bit of money, and all the money goes right back to the community. It's not like I buy Harley Davidson parts with mine. It all goes right back to the community.
Okay.
And it helps us with the resources. We done the Flint one they have every year, where the Flint police reach out to the community. We were there. They got another one coming up for, I think it's going to be in the parks. They're going to have bands and stuff there. So yeah, a lot of times it's food, games, and then someone gets up there and speaks about their past experience and addiction and where
Okay.
they're at, today.
So it's a celebration of recovery and being sober together.
It is, and to be able to do things and have fun in recovery, because a lot of times
Social events.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
think because we get in recovery, life's going to be boring.
Yeah, there's no social events. You can't go anywhere.
No.
Yeah.
So it's we try to focus on you can get out and do things and
Yeah.
have fun without putting any mind mood altering substance in your body.
Yeah, you know what's funny is a funny person is funny whether they're you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like a person that's fun to hang around is fun to hang around regardless.
No
of-
matter what. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you almost have to convince yourself. But if you think back when you were a kid, it was always that way, right?
Yeah.
And it's amazing. No matter how old you get, you grow up and you're still that group of little kids. Maybe a little more sophisticated, but it's unbelievable how all that works out. And I am really thankful that you came on the show.
I appreciate you having me out here.
Hey, buddy, the stuff that you do, and like the fact that you like to be called Asian Ben, so you can separate yourself from the other Bens.
Yeah.
I just find that like everything about, and this dude is loud. Okay, this dude is going to leave a mark. Like if he goes into a place, you cannot know that you weren't there, and I love that about you. Right? Like I still remember I was driving down. And anybody from the Flint area knows the Bricks, right?
Yeah.
And you were chilling on your motorcycle, like parked, kicked back in the front of, I can't remember where it was, like Churchill's right in that area. And you're just chill, like you weren't doing a single thing, but everybody knew you were there, right? This is that guy, like he walks in the room like, oh, there's Ben, right? And it's just, that's just the aura that you have. And so you take that and you use that to help other people and go, yeah, this is me and this is my crew and this is what we're doing and this is what we're about. And you're doing the exact same things you were doing when you were a kid, trying to push yourself out and say, look at me, but you're doing it in a way that's helping other people, right?
Yeah.
That's why when we did The Warrior's Way and this podcast and spiritualwarfareuNit.com, creating a life application class, because one of the questions you asked was when you're getting into recovery is how do I make those changes, remember?
Yeah.
And so to make those changes from my perspective, I was stuck in my house for 7 years and I had to have my come to Jesus moment was, this is either crap or it's real. Make a decision. And if it's real, then how does it work? I don't want to hear we're going to pray together and everything's going to be wonderful. That doesn't work for me. I don't want to feel good. I want to know how it works. What's step one and then step two, And I remember I was talking to this pastor buddy of mine and and which will remain anonymous. And,
Okay.
And he said, well, how do you preach to people? I said, well, I kind of shoot them straight. He said, give me an example. I said, okay. I said, how do you get peace? He said, well, you pray. I was like, well, that's just not the answer. I was like, there's a 4-step process. And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, well, you look at Philippians 4:6-7, it says, be anxious for nothing, which means don't worry, but everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Make your request be made known to God, and then the peace that passes all understanding come upon you, right? And you're like, oh, that sounds wonderful, amen. Well, what the heck does that freaking mean?
Right.
And so I broke it down word for word. I'm like, I don't know what it means. So I got an old English dictionary, went to my old English Bible, and I was like, supplication means humble request. Everything, I looked it up, means all. All means everything. That was an easy one, right? But what people miss is it says, be anxious or don't worry about everything. That means things that appear negative. And when I say, how many times do you thank God for something that appeared negative? People are like, I'm like, yeah, you missed it.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna get the peace that doesn't make any sense, you gotta do something that doesn't make sense to get there. And that allows us to get to our next thing. Thank you so much for coming in, Ben. If you haven't seen our show, go to spiritualwarfareunit.com, like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, and we will see you
Thank you, sir.
next week. Later. Area that's doing a lot of work that people should know about, feel free to contact Spiritual Warfare Unit at 810-715-9319, and we would love to have them on to see what good they're doing in the community and find out their story. Thank you so much.
Spent so much time believing the lies. I knew I wasn't meant to live this way, but my walls came down when your love shone through. Now my life will never be the same. You love me too much to let me stay this way.